Now, we will have a panel with youth leaders in Davao to talk about how to engage the youth in creative leadership. Okay? So it will be moderated by our Rappler CEO and Executive Editor, Ms. Maria Ressa. Please join us again. And we have, for the first one, for the first panelist, we have Miss Stella Estremera, the Sunstar Editor-in-Chief for Davao. Let's give her a round of applause. Ma'am. We have Leia Lisette Aying from the UP Mindanao. She is the USG chair. We also have PWC's SSC chair, Nadza Darimbang. She's here. Yes, and from the University of the Immaculate Conception, Miss J. Ann Peteros. Please join them on stage.
Why don't I start by giving each of you the mic? Take 5 minutes each to tell us what you think about where we are today and how it affects you. We'll start, since you're closer to my age group than there. No, teasing. Sunstar.
Yeah, actually, taking off from what we've been discussing earlier with Miss Maria Ressa here, we know so well how connected we are, except that you have to realize as youth that in a world where it's so noisy already, nandun, nag-iisa ka lang sa kwarto mo, pero ang ingay dahil ang dami mong kausap, you have to focus on your message. Dahil it will come out that habang tumatanda kayo and make your name, you will realize that the people who will rule or who will have influence will be the people who can tell their story best. Because we are at an age wherein everybody is telling their own story. So i-direct natin yan with a deliberate attention on how you behave in social media, what you share in social media, para magkaroon ng kabuluhan naman itong na-generate natin na free access to the information all over the world. Yun lang po.
In terms of how you deal with change right now, how do you deal with change?
We just have to go with the flow. Understand everything, learn everything. So nung syempre, 1 year older daw ako sa kanya in journalism. Anyway, so I'm one of the supposed to be dinosaurs. I was using typewriters. But when in 1994, internet came to Davao City with the only internet cafe, Weblink. Ganon, na-remember pa Weblink.
I remember.
I learned HTTP. Kumbaga, kailangan So ngayon, medyo naiiwan na ako dahil sabay-sabay na sila, marami na. Pero at least when I see the script, I can understand what's going on. Hindi natin ma-afford, lalong-lalo na kayo at the age we're in, you came in, complicated na siya. Masaya kami, we learned from the ABCs, from the typewriter to the IBM with the daisy wheel. So we recognize the technology there. Kayo, you just have to keep on learning. Anyway, nakikita naman natin sa kabataan ngayon that they are really, really, they can absorb a lot.
Fantastic. I'm gonna give you the mic.
Ayun, good afternoon. So I'm also a student representative from my school, UP Mindanao. So where we are now, I think initially the role of the youth today is most especially to gather as much experiences and learn to voice out what they experience on the ground. Because it's very important that what we voice out is actually what we experience. So that your initiative also becomes from the ground and with sincerity. So after knowing things, after experiencing things, the role of the youth elevates to how they take the initiative to actually do something about what's happening. So, yun, na-mention ng ating mga kasama dito na we have a lot of tools in our hands. For example, with the internet, we have Twitter, we have Facebook. It's up to us to actually make use of these technologies to voice out what we experience, so that our leaders in the future will actually know the experience on the ground. So I think most especially, our power really is to know what is happening on the ground, and try and forward it to the leaders.
So good afternoon, everyone. I'm from the Philippine Women's College of Davao. Well, for me, it's important for us youth to be involved in every situation, knowing that we are in a country where bad, there's good, there is an evil, there is also good things that is happening. But right now, as the speaker a while ago said, that there are several means in which we can address the problems that we have here in the Philippines. But right now, as we are as a youth, of course, our main concern is how to get involved and how to fix these situations and problems that we have here in the Philippines. Although it's very difficult for us, but I think there are several means, although it's just simple or it's small, but those small things, if we accumulate this and gather all of this, I guess this could be turned into a bigger solution to fix all the problems that we have here. So from the social medias, from the Twitter, the Facebook. So I guess this is also a good foundation and training ground for us to at least help the community that we have here. That's all.
Hi, sorry with my voice. I am Jayan Cipetaros and I'm a representative from University of Immaculate Conception. And what I have been a volunteer for many years for the young people, but that volunteerism that I have is for the church. Well, then I have noticed for many years I've been with them. I knew what they want. I knew their interests. But what I have noticed is that just this, alam mo yun, yung karon lang ay for many years na involved ko with them, karon lang ko na enlightened na there is a thing that us church youth leaders in the church, we must do something so as to tilt to have balance, to tilt the injustices here in the Philippines, most especially in the Mindanao, that we could do something for that. Like in the church, of course, we nourish our young people spiritually and those things, holistic. Pero I think I have noticed that there are lots of informations. Young people are bombarded with information. So that's why we have this information overload. And then to come to think of it, yes, informations are there, all beautiful informations, necessary informations, the information that we need. But what are those informations interests us? Because I have noticed from my co-youth, like, I think not all of them are really interested with those things. Not all of them are wanted to take action. Like, even in the church, like, I could really say that yes, we pray a lot, but I think that prayer necessitates action. Those kinds of enlightenment and reflections that we have necessitates action in order for this change to happen in our society. So I guess that's all I can say.
You know, it's so interesting because I realized that there are women on the stage and no men. So we will, please, one man will stand up to actually give a male perspective from us. But before we go to our male perspective, I want to ask our young ladies, are you afraid of anything right now? What are you afraid of?
Okay. I guess when I have discovered that there are bad people in this world, like really, really, really bad people, I think it's so difficult to tell the truth. Like, you want to give out your voice, like what you really want to say, because you are afraid that these people will, let's say, kill you or whatever, like that. So, yes, karon lang, seriously, Maria Reza, like, I just realized that how could this world have such kind of people, like really, really blackened souls like that. So I guess it's so difficult and it's so fearful to really have this change right now. So I guess that's my fear.
I guess for me, what fears me the most are those person who doesn't realize what to do in a serious situation. Because as you can see, being a leader is not that easy, especially if you are in the midst or in the middle of dealing with people who have this certain opinion and another person with have certain opinion also. So it's very difficult to deal with those different type of person. It is also one of my fears myself. Of course, I have different attitude, and also I have different fears in me that really trigger me to do something. But yet, I guess all I can do for facing all of these fears that I have is, I guess, to pray. But in the end, if all of us really could understand each other, well, it wouldn't lead to any chaos at all. That's all.
For me, to begin with, it's very easy for young people, as I am representing the youth, it's very easy for us to get intimidated, especially because there are a lot of bigger persons around us. For example, in our university, we have the administration, we have community leaders. There are big people around us. What I fear the most is we might not be heard at the end of the day. But as long as we, for example, stay together, for example, use what we have, we use Twitter, we could be as loud as we can. We can actually voice out what we need to voice out at the end of the day, and we actually might be heard. So yun lang po.
Thank you, thank you. And we have to hear, what are you afraid of?
Seriously, we are afraid of lawyers. No, it's serious. It's based on experience, you know. Anyone can, of course, when you're in the print, it's easier to catch you for libel or sue you for libel because they have the newspaper, even if there's nothing malicious about it. But you have to prove it in court that there's nothing malicious, so you have to pay the lawyer. So what we are always saying is don't mind the libel, be afraid of the lawyer.
That's actually very connected. No, we need to have the courage to speak out, and when you do have the courage to speak out, then you move into the realm of journalism, where you could be sued. Something we haven't talked about. I want to ask, because we have a Christian next to a Muslim. Are these issues that are? How do you deal with these in your communities? How does the national debate affect you?
So actually, that's a great question because before I decided to run as a president of the Supreme Council in the Philippine Women's College of Davao, I had this difficulty on thinking if it's really right for me to run as a president, thinking that I am in an institution where the majority students are Christians while we are in a minority numbers. But I guess it doesn't really matter. What matters is how you would lead your constituents, how you would lead your co-students. But I guess right now, I'm in a situation where I need to understand what are the practices and beliefs of this religion, my religion, and the other religions. Because you wouldn't understand others if you wouldn't try to fit in. It's like I had said a while ago, just go with the flow. You don't need to fit in if you don't want to. It's just that you need to act naturally. If you don't feel to, then say it. Don't just keep it yourself, but voice it out. So in this type of situation that I am here in Philippine Women's College of Davao, I guess the overall managing the school, it's just all right. So no problems at all. Even though they are small, but I think I can manage it. But having myself as a Muslim is not a problem at all.
Have you felt, any of the three of you felt discrimination either for your religion or your gender? Before we go to the men in the audience.
I guess it's both. Knowing that in the Philippines, it's commonly uh, the men who leads, not the women. But also not the Muslims, it's the Christian. Mostly, I'm not saying that it should be Christians who will lead, it should be men who will lead, but mostly. Here in the Philippine Women's College of Davao, I guess it's really rare if men, kasi nga Philippine women's, kayo so ganun. But okay lang naman po, pero as a part ko kasi sa Muslim, it's really in need na ang lalaki po talaga yung superior, not the women. But right now, siguro it's time for a change na, being fair. If a man can do something, why not the women also do something? Ganun po.
As a woman or for your religion, we're the majority. But have you felt discrimination?
And as a leader, I mean, I haven't felt discrimination actually, but because I think in my experience, we are all treated equally. We are all treated like the men have this kind of capacity that women cannot do, but there are also capacities that women can do that men cannot also do. So I think it's just fair, equal for both of us, both the gender. That's all.
As discrimination against women is a very long story. It's a historical struggle that we continue to face today. Young as I am, I'm aware of the existing stereotypes of women. For example, weak, for example, indecisive. And usually, especially in the Philippines, the idea of leadership is always associated with decisiveness. For example, with concreteness, something as masculine as they try to term it. However, we need to step up and elevate, for example, the condition and situation of women. Try as much as we can to represent women, for example, and take leadership roles, for example, in our schools. And we can try and introduce what women leaders are like. For example, how they can create changes even if they're actually women. And it doesn't have to be wrong to be a woman and a woman leader ultimately.
I want to go find a male voice. Uh, we need a young male leader. Come, please, come on stage. There's a mic right here. And please, you can grab my seat. We need to tell us about your experience.
Hello.
Introduce yourself.
My name is David Abella. I'm from the Ateneo de Davao University. I'm also a member of ISEC Davao.
And tell us, I mean, we've talked about what's important to our female leaders. What's important to you, and how will you use social media? What power do you have?
Regarding social media, of course, we need, like most of my fellow colleagues or my fellow students said, that we need that our youth to be aware in general. Of course, be open-minded about certain stuff, because we cannot just be closed in our, in our own borders. We have to go beyond those borders. Then let the people comprehend, not aside from the situations that are happening here in our beloved homeland, but we have to also understand those situations that happening also abroad. Because some people say, abroad bitaw yan, it's not really affecting my country. Yeah, it will affect our country if something's gonna happen here. Yeah, and how could I do this? We need also the youth to be aware that these elections isn't a joke. It isn't a game. People say, hindi mo dagan sa Duterte. Ay, wala naman si Duterte. like, of course, all of us love Duterte. We as Davaoenos treat our mayor as if he was our father. But sadly, he's not gonna run. Now, it doesn't mean that, I'm not gonna register because one of my mayor is not going to be in the elections. No, because it is our job as the youth to let us be aware that we are selecting a leader that will run this country, whether you like it or not. Whether the candidates, it could be Binay, Poe, or Rojas. Maybe you don't like three of them, but you have no choice but to choose one. Because if you're not gonna register, or if you're not gonna at least vote, you don't have the right to complain. You don't have the right to say something about the country if you didn't even put your right to vote. So yeah, that's more or less how I want the youth to look at social media. Don't get me wrong, you could always enjoy Aldub. Aldub is like a pleasure time. But we have to also focus on the important things that's going to happen in our country. And like you said, it's our job to correct the mistakes that your generation did in the past. So yeah, thank you.
Questions from the audience? Do you have any before I throw it back to our lady leaders? Because I'm curious to see what you think about elections. What are you going to be working for during the elections? Are you going to be? Is it interesting to you? What's at stake? What's at stake for you in your community? Because with the gap from where we come from, both in our ages, your view is very different from mine. I mean, I'm curious, what is at stake for you and your community? And where will you lead the community you lead?
There's a lot at stake, actually, because we're looking at our time in the future. When we vote for the next leader, for example, the next president of our country. So I think the role, more importantly, of the youth in this election is to first of all study and do research of the leaders who are actually daring to run as president for our country. It's important for us not just to know the platforms, for example, or the educational backgrounds of our leaders, but it's important for us to contextualize that these platforms are actually suited or fitting in our community today. So on the ground, we need to assess what we need to assess what we actually demand. For example, what we need as youth today. For example, the representation, empowering the youth. So we are looking for leaders who actually have an intention to hear us out as youth, so to represent the youth. Personally, I'm also an advocate for the FOI bill, Freedom of Information Bill. So this is something that I actually try to look for the candidates if they actually support this bill, because if we aren't aware, the bill is considered as a dead bill because it's not been processed for how many years and how many hearings already. So personally, this is something that I want to look for sa ating mga leaders.
For me, I guess, how I would let them decide is that we ourselves first know what are the problems here in our country, what we really need, what are the things that must be done. So for that matter, we will really know what kind of leader that we will choose for this coming election. And so I guess that's all. Thank you.
For me, I would like to share this one. Last month, I joined this PAASA Youth Interactive Forum. What I've learned there, one of the students from Baguio College, I guess, she shared about the biggest problem, one of the biggest problems that we have as a youth and as a Filipino citizen is the debt of gratitude, yung utang na loob. Kasi po napapansin natin, there are this politician who did something for us, and then in return, we vote for them. not knowing that they also have their flaws, and not knowing after we vote them, may mangyaring hindi masama. So what we should think of is, yun nga sabi ni ate, we should think of the situations, the problem we have in the present, and then isipin natin if yung problem na yun, mafi-fix ba ng pipiliin natin? Because the problem that we have here in the Philippines, dapat madala na tayo. We shouldn't choose agad-agad. Kilatisin muna, hindi yung basta-basta lang pumipili. We should always think and not decide ng decide. So I guess right now, it's not easy na diretso-diretso na lang. Kasi in the end, tayo lang man din ang kawawa. So, dapat isipin natin na kapakanan din naman natin ang at stake if ever na may decision tayo na gagawin. Yun lang.
Sunstar Davao is the voice of this community as much it's hyperlocal and national. What issues, what to you is important for this community? What needs to be addressed, and how are you preparing your community?
Actually, it's more on assuaging the desperation of the people. I mean, we are in a situation wherein both adults and young are really like desperate for something. Actually, that's how we analyze yung clamor for Duterte nga because of lack of ano. But then, if we can only, we know, because of this desperation, we have an idea what we are looking for. So that is what we are working on, how we can consolidate that idea and then push that to the mainstream, that this is what you should look for.
What are you looking for? I'm curious. Meantime, come up to the mic because you need to ask them questions. What are you looking for?
Why is it that they are pushing for Duterte? Why can't they not say, na, "Oh, okay, we have 4 candidates anyway, so that is what we are looking for. Why and what is there?" And then consolidate it and bring it out and tell the people, you are looking for this, so why don't you look for that? Why don't you vote with, according to what you are looking for?
How strong is Davao as a community, as a whole? How strong are you guys compared to other parts? I'm curious. What do you think?
Kasi akong older. No, from experience, Davao is strong, but so, what can, alam mo yung masaya lang? Until we are pushed, then we push. But otherwise, if it's working, then okay. And then we say we have a very strong idea on what we want, and we ask for it. And since we are given, we are so spoiled. We've had 20 years of being given what we want. So, okay lang, no resistance. So maybe, well, that's one whole generation of getting really the basics that a city needs. But then we really want this to happen. I mean, we're not alone. There's a whole country to worry about.
Questions from the audience? Please, you can go up to the mic, introduce yourself, and then ask the person.
Yes.
Who-
Anyone with any questions?
Okay. So, I will throw the last question to our gentlemen on the panel. If you have a question, please just you can continue it on Twitter. Gender equality has gone the other route on this panel, on this stage. Is there anything we heard from someone of my generation in terms of where Davao is? What's your prognosis of where Davao is now? How strong is this community? Can it act like a block? Can it push the nation forward? Let me give you this.
Like I just want to say we are the 4th safest city in the world. That is basically one of the biggest statements that I could say about our beloved city. We have the liquor ban, we have the no smoking law, we have a speed limit, even though it pisses us off a lot, but at the end of the day, we follow it because we want to show and set an example to our fellow kababayan that it's us, Davaoeños. If we can do this in our city, we're expecting the same that you guys do it in your city. Because don't get me wrong, Davao didn't become like this in a snap of a finger. It had to be worked through years and years, and that's what I also say, that if somebody becomes president, don't expect him or her to be able to change this country in only one term, which is 6 years, because you want a miracle to have that happen. But regarding my city, I'm still 21 years old. I still have a lot ahead of me. But what I've noticed here in Davao City is that aside from being the safest city in the world, a lot of people, even especially people from Manila, are saying, I'm actually shocked that I could see a woman walking alone in the streets. That's already a lot. Because if you can walk alone in the streets without even worrying anything, that's already a statement that Davao already showed to the Philippines and to the world. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me call up. Here we go. We'll move ahead. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Maria, and thank you to our panelists. So that gives you an idea on how the youth perceive the different issues, no? How the youth of Davao specifically perceive the different issues in the country, especially in context of the incoming elections.